that's a very beautiful hyena. I'm not sure if that's the... It can't be pretty either, because I don't think she'd be lying there. There is Corky at the back, and there's D1 or D2, I'm not sure which. There's D1 or D2, I'm not sure which, coming out as well. Wonderful, the twins. And certainly anybody who has any idea how we can sort of best identify these two youngsters, I think it's going to be very difficult until they get their spots, but maybe if you've got an idea. I certainly couldn't tell one from the other at this stage. That's sweet. Oh, and there's the... Look, there's November as well. Look how many spots she's got. Every day she gets more spots. Every day she gets slightly more spotty. Oh, she's gone back inside. Maybe this is pretty then, sitting there. I mean, she certainly looks very gorgeous, that hyena. And maybe that is the mother. There's some movement off in front of us. Not sure what that is. Ah, it's a beefalo, Andrew. We were driving along towards the hyena den earlier. As we were driving, he said the one thing that there's no shortage of, this was just after we heard that they'd found the wild dogs, one thing there's no shortage of is buffalo bulls here at Djuma. Anyway, he's through there. We can just hear him grazing through the woodland. And D1 or D2 is just sharpening her teeth now on a bit of stick. There's the buffalo. You can see his horns. Look at the little hyena watching carefully. Look. And now bored of looking at buffalo, like many people get, and is now chewing a stick. We had an extensive discussion this morning about play behavior and its importance for mammals. And of course, this is precisely what we're seeing here. Especially for a hyena, that chewing is so important. Now, let's try and see if we can get a sex on this one. Now what you want to look for is whether there is a pinched end to that penis or pseudo-penis. I think that's a little male. So these twins are probably one male and one female, or two males. This one's definitely got less hair on the face than the other one. But whether that situation will last... Now, this is interesting. Now, and I've just read about this, that even though that's not the mother, remember that one, that little one is suckling from is not the mother, because D1's mother is more dominant than November's mother, Pretty will accept being suckled from, but the same will not happen. So very good call there by Louise to just quickly nip across to those ground hornbills and so watch them flying. What I was saying was, I'm not sure where you went across there, but what we have here, of course, is a dominant female on the top of the mound. That's Corky, and then back in front there's Pretty. And we watched Corky's cub come to Pretty and try and suckle, and that does happen with slightly subordinate females, that more dominant females, the youngsters will suckle from subdominant females. Now, you can see November coming out there. She won't go near trying to suckle from Corky. Well, that's what the books and the papers will tell you. And whether that's true or not, we'll see. But certainly it is borne out by the fact that normally or often when Corky is around, November doesn't come out of the hole at all. This is wonderful. We never see them all three like this. Isn't it sweet? She's so pretty. This is just wonderful stuff. This is priceless learning. It's priceless, kind of enjoyment. Can you see a magnificent little thing? I think we can actually see them now. Thanks, Andrew. I thought night had fallen. Kathy in Tennessee, you're absolutely correct. We don't see a huge number of male hyena around. That's because they don't hang around the den. They don't, they're subordinate to all the females. They get absolutely no advantage from being around the den at all. So it's better that they go off in 2s and 3s and go and forage on their own. They do have a hierarchy, but there's no benefit for them being at the den here. So that's why you don't see them here. Shh, Andrew. Andrew.
Sorry.
I can't tell the difference between those two. I suppose one's a bit slightly less fur on the neck, and they're going to have to go a long way to beat the looks of November there. November definitely inherited her mother's looks. Let's hope that these two haven't. And now, look, precisely what I said wouldn't happen is now happening. Except that's probably more a greeting ritual. Yeah, look, you see? As soon as she even sat up and looked. And there's May snoozing away. And we've seen May's mother. Oh, here comes another one. That looks like a yearling, a year old. Now let's see if this is a male or female. I think it's a young female as well. Greeting the dominant one first. Paying tribute to the dominant's kids. Now this is a typical greeting ritual. That's a male. That's definitely a male. There you can see it's pinched there. The penis is pinched on the end. Definitely a male. That's fascinating. So as I've said, the males don't spend too much time around the den, which they don't. That is definitely a male. Sorry, Wendy in Florida, I know you've just asked me a question, but unfortunately I've missed it. I'll get it again from Louise. Now, Wendy in Florida, you want to know how many different kinds of vocalizations hyenas have? I don't really know how to answer that. I mean, they've got their whooping call, they've got their cackle, which they make around sort of territorial disputes, and to G each other up, that kind of laughing cackle that they make. Then they've got that growl that they make slightly when they're a bit alarmed, and that sort of soft call that they make to call the youngsters out of the den. So at least 4 or 5 different categories of call, but you know how those are split up into different categories, I'm not sure, Wendy. Good question. So a thorough greeting now from the male. And I think he's a yearling male. Otherwise, I don't think he'd be here. You can see he's young just by the condition of his fur. He's still quite fluffy. Fascinating stuff. And as you arrive back with us, they are starting to vocalize, especially this dominant one, Corky. I don't believe she's the matriarch. I think May's mother is the matriarch, but I might be wrong. Now, the textbooks will tell you that they don't cross-suckle. We've watched D1 and D2 suckling from Pretty. We've watched November attempt to suckle from Corky, so you mustn't believe everything you read, I guess. Them all running around. Rachel, I agree with you. You're in South Dakota watching. You say, when will the cubs start to get the mohawk, the beautiful mohawk? Well, look at, there's November. Hers has just started now. And she is, she was born in November, so she's just about 8 weeks old. I don't know what they're doing there. So she was born at the beginning of November, so I'm pretty sure she's 7 or 8 weeks now. Look. Jean in Los Angeles, you reckon you've seen a white mark on one of D1 or 2's right front paw? Rear left paw. I got it completely wrong. Rear left paw, is that a marking or do you think it's detritus? Let's have a look. I'm not sure. There seems to be some disciplining going on. Maybe it's a sort of supper time and they're trying to feed the kids, give them a bath. You can just hear the soft noises. You're right, Dee. You're right. Dee, there's the little white patch, well spotted. It is a little white sock, or not sock even, little sort of toenail painting. Good, now we can identify it. Let's call that one D1. And D2 doesn't seem to have any white sock at all. Brilliant, well spotted, that is incredible. Just telling them to go and clean their room, have their bath and get ready for bed. This is just brilliant. I couldn't tell you what's going on here. I don't know. I don't understand. So that's D2. No white mark as far as I can see. Good question, Julia in Houston, to which I don't really know the answer, but I'll have a guess. Julia, you want to know what would happen if a hyena cub chewed on a tambuti stick. And now tambuti sticks, for those of you who don't know, are particularly toxic. The buffalo are running away for some reason at high speed. I have no idea why they'd be doing that. These hyenas pose almost no threat to them whatsoever. They have taken off as if they've been chased by lions. I don't see any lions around, though. Julia, I think that you'll find, even though, of course, the tambuti is very toxic to human beings, I think you'll find that it would make no difference to a hyena. I think their digestive systems are so powerful that I don't think it would make any difference. They might get a little bit queasy, perhaps, they've all come to look what's going on. The buffalo have just disappeared. I mean, they got quite close. They were probably within 30 meters, 100 feet or so. And there goes Pretty to go and investigate. Gail, you're in Salem, Ohio, and you want to know if maybe this male might be offspring of the matriarch. It depends who the matriarch is. If the matriarch is Corky, then no, because there's another hyena calling there. The cub is too young, and if the matriarch is who I think it is, the scar-backed female, also no, should be too young. So I don't think it would be the matriarch's offspring, no. There's a whole lot of calling going on just down in the drainage line where they're heading, and the fact that May is heading off there indicates to me that there might even be a secondary den there, and maybe that's her mother calling. The little ones have poked their heads out quite interestingly, and without the adults here, that's unusual. There, that goes. Look. Having a look around. They were having such fun, and now the game's over. Oh. That's very sweet. So they've all gone, they've all sort of in there. Classic. Ellen, you're in Arkansas, and you want to know if the greeting, here goes number 3 now. Go on. Go, November. Go, go. It's so cute. So, Ellen, you want to know if they smell the same as their parents? If the, the little ones smell the same, and maybe that's how they know each other from that genital smelling. Yeah, there probably is a similar scent, and I'm sure once they get to know each other, there's definitely a familiar scent, and I'm pretty sure that is how they identify each other. I'm sure, they look pretty different too, and I think, their eyes and their recognition, I nearly said recognition software, but that's basically what I mean. Their ability, their brains, the ability that their brains have to recognize each other are probably pretty strong. So I think it's probably visual as well as olfactory. Nice question, thank you. Right, well, everything seems to calm down here. Let's just sit for another 5 minutes. And see what happens, and then I think we'll pull out of here. So there we go. Janet, you are in Canada, and you have read that it's been discovered that hyenas can make 14 different classes of calls, not just the 4 that I mentioned, and that within those there are many different kinds of calls. Yeah, thank you. I think they've got a pretty complicated language, and I suspect if we actually had an inkling as to how complicated it was, I think it would probably be a lot more than just those 14. Calling into the drainage line there, there's definitely something going on, and for them to have taken May down there with them, given that she's a little girl at this stage, that is very interesting. Anyway, all is peace now. Baby, oh, did you see that? The little kingfisher came straight out of the hole where the hyenas were living. Yep. Straight inside there. I would so love to have a little camera in there where we could see what those kingfishers are nesting. Let's see if he comes out again. I just want to sit here for 2 more minutes and see whether anything happens, if they bring some food back or what's going on. There might be a secondary den. And there's still that little bit of howling coming from inside there. And you know what? The other day when I was driving along and we saw what looked like, and I know this is going to sound ridiculous, an aardvark's tail being carried by a hyena. I didn't think they were heading back here. I thought they were heading maybe more towards where that calling's come from. So it might be worth having a walk through there tomorrow just to see if there isn't some kind of secondary den. There's a nice drainage line in there, so maybe that's what's going on. Alrighty, I think that's it for our hyena den experience this afternoon. Very good hyena den experience it was. The little ones have gone down into the hole. The adults have gone off for a drink at the pub. We're going to head out of here now, and yeah, we'll see what else we can find. What time we have left.